What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You guys already know what it is. It's draft season all year long, and today we're going to be covering one of the more controversial topics heading into the 2023 NFL draft, and that is, who is the better quarterback prospect? Is it Bryce Young out of Alabama, or is it CJ Stroud out of Ohio State? Now, before we get further into this video, if you guys are interested in anything NFL draft related, this is definitely going to be the channel for you, so consider subscribing. Now let's get into this thing. So first off, we're going to take a look at the season that Bryce Young has had so far. So now, keep in mind that as this video is being made, the conference championship games are going to be played in the upcoming week. So for Bryce Young, he's got 3,000 yards on the season, 27 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 64.1 completion percentage, and has also done quite a bit of damage on the ground too, with 195 yards, averaging 4.2 yards per attempt. So the first thing that stands out statistically is that Bryce Young definitely did not have the same type of year that he had in 2021, where he won the Heisman Trophy. Now, we're going to get into that season in just a bit, but I still think that with the situation that Bryce Young's been put in, and I don't think it's been the most ideal one considering that he's playing at Alabama, you'd like to see the team have a little bit more talent around him at wide receiver, which they don't really have this year, and the offensive line has been subpar at times, but we know from last year, and we've also seen from this year as well, that he's a very good quarterback. He's got accuracy on all levels of the field. I think he also has great accuracy outside the numbers. He also has the ability to extend a play, obviously able to use his legs with the 195 yards rushing that he has. And the trait that I love the most about Bryce Young heading into this draft is that he's probably the most calm and composed guy in all of college football. I mean, you put him on the biggest stages when everyone is watching, when you need a comeback drive to score a touchdown and send the game into overtime or potentially win the game, this is the guy you want leading your football team. It's Bryce Young. And it's traits like that that you can't really teach a guy, and it's something that they just possess. There's no moment that's too big for Bryce Young. And so you add that element along with the fact that he's already so skilled at playing the position of quarterback. This is what a franchise quarterback looks like in the NFL now. This is a dream scenario for a team like the Texans or the Panthers who are looking to draft a quarterback. Bryce Young is certainly an intriguing option at this moment. I'd be surprised if either of those teams pass him up if they have the opportunity to draft him. But Bryce Young is a really special player, considering that this is a down year and he's still playing extremely well. I think says a lot to what type of quarterback he is. Now, taking a look at his 2021 campaign, this is when he won the Heisman Trophy. This is the one that stands out to me. And look, we're not basing this strictly off of statistics. I mean, there aren't a lot of flaws to pick out of Bryce Young's game. He's really the full package. He's the real deal. But this 2021 campaign, 4,872 yards, 47 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. That is a almost 7-to-1 TD to INT ratio. That is impressive. That is so impressive. He's also got nearly 67 of his passes completed. And I just put this in because I had the stat from this year. But, that's one part of his game that he certainly improved in. He had 81 rushing attempts for 0 yards. I don't know how that happens, but I just thought that was a funny stat, so I just kept it in there. And, of course, they didn't win the national championship last year. If Jameson Williams doesn't hurt himself during the game, do they win that game? We'll never know, but they were the 2021 SEC champions under Bryce Young. But what a phenomenal season that he put together. And to think that, he has a down year here in 2022 and he's still considered, one of the top prospects in the draft, I think that just says a lot. But certainly a leader, someone that the team is going to want to rally behind, someone that the fans can rally behind, something to give a team that's struggling right now a lot of hope. I mean, seriously, there's not a lot about Bryce Young that I would really say is not really great in his game. The one thing that I will point out is that there are some routes where I think he needs to throw the ball before the receiver gets out of their break. For example, if you got an in route, you want to ideally throw the ball before the receiver makes their cut. He doesn't do that consistently. But again, it's a very nitpicky thing where it's like, I want to find a flaw. And even when you look, it's pretty difficult. So Bryce Young, I just think that he's proven time and time again, as I mentioned before, on the biggest stage, that he can come up clutch for your team. He can give you that game-winning drive. I just like this guy. He's got ice in his veins. Okay, Now, going to the other very highly desired QB prospect in this year's NFL draft, that's CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. Now, he in 2022 is having himself a pretty dominant year. 3,340 yards, 37 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's got 66.2% of his completion percentage, and then he also has 35 rush attempts for 74 yards. So the thing about CJ Stroud, and I don't know if this is just more of an Ohio State offensive scheme, but Stroud does have the athletic ability. He does have the ability to extend plays, be mobile, go outside the pocket, and run the football, but he doesn't do it a ton. So I would anticipate that whatever team drafts him in the NFL will definitely use, that part of his skill set to their advantage. I'm not sure why Ohio State isn't doing it at the moment, or whether that's just a decision made by CJ Stroud to not run the ball, but he definitely can do it. And so let's not get fooled by the statistics here, because he's a pretty fast dude. And in terms of the rest of his statistics, obviously he's playing very efficient football. He's pushing the ball down the field. He's got a lot of touchdowns, not many interceptions. So we saw Bryce Young had a 7-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio in his Heisman Trophy campaign. And then now here's CJ Stroud, who is also in the running for the Heisman Trophy. I don't know if he'll win it, but he's got a 6-to-1. So that's also very impressive. The thing that makes it very hard to decide who's the better quarterback between these two is because both of them are very great decision makers and they don't turn over the ball a ton. And so that's just a dream scenario for any team looking for a quarterback drafting early this year. But CJ Stroud, again, just like Bryce Young, they have accuracy on all levels of the field. And you can say what you want, that CJ Stroud has a ton of talent around him. But if you have all the talent around you, all you have to do is succeed and just look good. And that's all he's done since he's been at Ohio State. And the last game that they played against Michigan probably wasn't his brightest performance. But, I mean, you see week in, week out, CJ Stroud just dominates and is one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football, and we're going to see him taken in the top 5 of the NFL draft without a doubt. So I'm not even concerned about CJ Stroud. I'm not concerned about Bryce Young being from colleges that don't typically put out good quarterbacks. CJ Stroud, obviously being from Ohio State, they don't have the best record when it comes to quarterbacks drafted in the past, and so for Alabama. But I think things are kind of turning around. You see Justin Fields kind of looking good here in the NFL now. You also have Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa from Bama, who are looking like some of the better quarterbacks in the league. So I think the narrative of, these schools putting out bad quarterbacks is going to change with these two guys heading into the NFL as well. Now, if I had to pick out a flaw for CJ Stroud, and again, this is a very nitpicky one because I think that CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are two phenomenal quarterback draft prospects. I would say for CJ Stroud, there are times where he does have a little bit of hesitation with the football. And you give NFL defenses a split second to jump on a football, they're going to take it and run away with it. And really, it just takes one play for the entire momentum of a game to flip around. I think all of us who watch football know that. And so I would like to see CJ Stroud drop back and just be a little bit more confident where he's going to throw the ball, because what he'll do is he'll kind of hesitate, pump towards the receiver he's going to throw to, and then after that initial pump, when he decides that he wants to do it, he'll throw. And so it's plays like that where I could see a cornerback just easily jumping a route. But aside from that, which he hasn't had to deal with here in the college football level, I think that could become an issue in the NFL. But everything else, just like Bryce Young, two very well-rounded quarterbacks. When you look at these guys, you don't want a quarterback that's going to primarily use his legs. You want to see a guy who can obviously throw the ball, stretch the field, all that good stuff. But the fact that these guys use their arm first, but also have the ability to use their mobility to their advantage as well, I think that's what makes them two very intriguing quarterback prospects heading into the 2023 NFL draft. Now, comparing these two guys here in the 2022 2022 college football season, CJ Stroud is dominating in every single statistical category in terms of passing. Now, the one that you don't want highlighted, that he actually has more of his interceptions, but it's one more. It's not that big of a difference, but he also has thrown 10 more touchdowns and also has 300 more yards. So CJ Stroud definitely having the better season, although I would make the argument that I think CJ Stroud right now is playing with 3 potential first-round wide receivers, while Bryce Young, I don't think he's playing with even 1. And so I think that definitely makes a difference. I mean, these are two very talent-heavy schools, but you compare the two skill position groups together, I think CJ Stroud definitely has a better group around him right now. Um, making this graphic, I'm not trying to take anything away from Bryce Young, obviously. These are two very, very good quarterbacks. But it's just showing that, if you're a firm believer in Bryce Young and you think that he's just not even close to a prospect and he's way better than CJ Stroud, this just shows that maybe these guys are a little closer than maybe you anticipated. But you guys can go watch the film for yourself and form your own opinions. But me personally, I'm going to take Bryce Young. I think winning and losing, although some people do not want to agree that it is a quarterback stat, and again, this is another one where you can form your own opinion. I do believe wins and losses do correlate with the quarterback because you have guys like Patrick Mahomes who, despite having a bad defense, still wins games. And I don't like to use this guy as an example, but I have to. You never want to bring someone into a negative correlation, but Justin Herbert, I think, is an extremely talented quarterback, but he has a losing record in his career. And there are time and time again where he's put in a situation where he's able to come back for his team and win the game, and they just haven't been able to come out with the W more times than not in those games. And so you want to have a quarterback under center that's going to win you those football games. And that's why I do think winning and losing is a quarterback stat at the end of the day. The quarterback has so much control, not all of the control, but they do have their opportunities every now and then to have the game in their hands and win it for the team. And when those opportunities arise, you have to capitalize on them. And that's why I think Bryce Young is going to be the better quarterback in the NFL. That's why I think he's the better prospect heading into the draft right now, is because he just has that ability to go out there and win a game. You have him under center and you have the final possession. I think you can rely on Bryce Young to go out there and win you the football game. I'm not saying that CJ Stroud won't, but I think Bryce Young just has more of that composure. I think he has more of that dog in him. I like Bryce Young. And that's not going to take anything away from CJ Stroud. I think he is also a very, very good quarterback prospect. Again, just like Bryce Young, it's very hard to pick out any flaws in their game, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Bryce Young, and I'll just make the prediction that he'll go first in the NFL draft. Although if CJ Stroud does go first, I wouldn't be shocked either. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hopefully this was an informational video for you guys. We're going to be doing more player comparisons down the road as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft. But until next time, like I said before, it's draft season all year long. We'll see you guys all later. Peace.